Welcome into Hoops Forum, a production of Radius Athletics and a quick timeout podcast. I'm Tony Miller, and my co-host is Randy Sherman once again. As always, thanks to our sponsors over at 323 Sports. If you're thinking about new basketball uniforms for your program this year, let me encourage you to take a look at 323's Good Game line. Right now, they have a special home and away uniforms. That's jerseys and shorts with a shooting shirt for only $145. It's an incredible deal. To find out more about what they can do for your program, visit 323sports.com, or you can contact a sales rep at sales@323sports.com. They'll be sure to do it right for your basketball program. Randy, let's go ahead and hit them with it right here from the start. We have something special planned for August 9th. Why don't you kind of tell listeners what's going on then, and that will kickstart us into what we want to talk about today.
Yes, August 9th. I'm excited for that day. You and I are going to be hosting an online event. I think August 9th is a Tuesday, Tuesday night, August 9th, an online event where we're going to talk about pressure man-to-man and break it down from all the aspects and sort of try to give a coach an idea after attending that, like what that's all about and what that looks like and what it entails. So, you can get signed up using a link that you and I have shared on Twitter. We can put it, in the mentions or the description of any videos. But couple hours of talking about pressure man-to-man defense. And if you're a coach who kind of wants to learn what that's all about, the no middle pressure man-to-man style defense, and wants to know a little bit more about how to teach it and how to think about it and how to become that style of coach, it's going to be the event for you.
This is one of those things Randy's been sharing about for probably years. I was scrolling through the hashtag pressure man tips, saw tweets going back multiple years. And it's something that you've talked a lot about, but this is one of those things like all in one place, everything together, and some new stuff that he hasn't talked about other places. So really looking forward to doing that. We kind of want to kickstart it, talking about pressure man tips and kind of give a little preview. This is not going to be what it's about when we're going to go next level when it gets to that masterclass. But for today, I always get the question, how do you install this? What does it look like? What are some things that I can use with my players so that they understand the concepts behind it? It's one thing. I was just talking with a coach today about this. Like, it's one thing I think most, if not all of us, like know how to do things. But when it comes to us conveying those things and teaching those things, and I saw you even had a tweet about this. I don't know if we're just kind of starting to think alike or whatever, but like the superpower of boiling things down and making it understandable by our players and whoever else, our staff that we're talking about it with, like that really is like a coaching superpower. And so today, just kind of breaking it down to installing it and us showing them a little bit about what they could use, some fast draw diagrams, and then also some pictures that would help back up how you go about installing that. And you can start wherever you want to.
Okay. Yeah, first I'd say, I've been tweeting hashtag pressure man tips. So I'd check that out on Twitter since I've had a Twitter account in 2014 or 15 or so. I kind of started there with my social media basketball campaign because it's what I actually coached this. Like sometimes I might share something I see another team do that I like, and I didn't actually coach it. This I taught this from the ground up every season that I coached. So the experience is firsthand. It's not just observations of another coach. This is something I've gotten my hands dirty with. I would secondly, I would say that I'll tell you how I teached it. I wouldn't say that's the right way or how I installed it or how I put it in. And how I broke it down and boiled it down, to use that phrase. But man, I'm open to talking about a better way or a different way with anybody. And so I think what we're going to do today, like you said, this is like a teaser or a little prelude to the event we're doing August 9th. We're just going to give like an introduction to some concepts I'll drill a little bit deeper in when we have a full couple hours to talk with coaches. But today, just a short hoops for them, we'll hit the highlights. But I think if you think about where I would start any style of man-to-man defense, whether that be pressure, pack line, somewhere in between, would be guarding the ball. And so I like to say I taught this defense from the ball out. Does that make sense? Like we're going to start building the skills from the ball out. So the very first thing I might do would be to introduce this concept you see on the screen called checkpoints. This is a borrowed concept, not my own, borrowed from Coach Kloppenberg, was an NBA defensive architect long ago. He wrote extensively about this. I adjusted some things and took some different ideas and expanded upon it. But the genesis of this is not mine. But it is something I used and found to be successful. I felt like when I was prior to stumbling upon this checkpoint concept, I was coaching on the ball defense by being more of a fan or a cheerleader, like get after it, get up, come on, effort, get out, you know. And that was okay when I was young and stupid, but like it didn't really help me troubleshoot, you know, and it didn't really give any directives to our players on what's our objective when we're guarding the ball. What can we be, you know, what's our stance, what's our positioning. This cleaned all that up. And I don't want to go too long because, again, we are going to do a seminar. But basically what you see in these two diagrams, we'll start with the full court one on the left as you're looking at the screen. Along the sideline and baseline are X's, and those X's are called checkpoints. And the purpose of the checkpoint is to help the player guarding the ball find what we prefer as a stance angle. So our rule is your stance angle is open to the checkpoint below you, not further, not tighter. Does that make sense? So you can see, like in the full court diagram that I have on the screen there, I've got a player guarding the ball, different areas of the court, and there's always a checkpoint below them or behind them, if you will. And if I were to draw a line through your feet while you're guarding the ball, it would hit that checkpoint behind you. So that the motive or what we're trying to get from using the checkpoints is we want to influence the ball toward the sideline. We call this sideline push. You see that up there on the top of the first diagram. We're pushing the ball away from the middle toward the sideline, but not so dramatically that we're just opening our stance such that we just playing chase with a guy just dribbling down the middle of the court or down the side of the court. So it's that sweet spot of that angle of closing, you know, a checkpoint. If you play full court man, this diagram could help you on the left. Like you're when you pick up the ball full court, this is about how open I want you to be, not square, but slightly open. The diagram you see on the right would be in that, just taking the same concept, applying it to the half court. The dots and the X's represent checkpoints. I use the X's to sort of like highlight the checkpoints you're going to end up sort of referring to most often. So again, if you're X3 either on the right wing or the left wing guarding the ball, your stance is open, but not so open that you're giving a clear path to the rim. It's open to the baseline checkpoint, that X you see that's about midway between lane line and where the 3-point line hits the baseline. So long story short, start with guarding the ball, teaching players stance, their positioning, and building that concept of sideline and baseline push using a checkpoints system to help players arrive at the preferred stance angle.
Just a brief testimony. As soon as I got this terminology from you a couple of years ago, started using it with my players, it helped them kind of understand like where we were trying to get the offensive player to go so that we had control of what happened then with the ball and then everything behind. And it naturally helped them close their stance and guard better, because then it kind of gave them, like you said, a goal for this is where we're trying to get them to go, rather than just me, you know, work harder. Like you said, work harder. You opened up too much. Oh, you had to close too closed of a stance. Like the concept became something that they understood that what we were actually trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Have you ever coached track and field?
I have not.
Okay. Well, I was a track athlete and coached track and field. and ran on relays, like 400-meter relays, mile relays, things like that. And in the 400-meter relay, you'll see track coaches to get the handoff zone. They'll take a tennis ball and cut it in half, like so. You've got like a tennis. I used to keep a bag of those, of cut in half tennis balls, and I would put them down on the court where you see the X's when we practice, to sort of like really equip our practice gym and our practice environment with a visual of where's there. Okay, I'm good. And they like finding that angle and giving them something tangible about stance. And I like to use the word influence. I know some coaches say force to the sideline or push to I like the word influence because they made varsity too, or they got a scholarship too. They don't have to cooperate with that. So we're just using these stance angles to influence the ball away from areas that we don't want it to go.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, here's a I like screenshots and like I'm watching video or film or a game, and I can see something like in an instant that that would make a good visual learning tool. I'll screenshot it, maybe write some notes on it like you see here. The team in white on defense would be South Carolina. A few years ago, they had an outstanding pressure style man-to-man defense under Coach Frank Martin. And I grabbed tons of screenshots of them the year because they were really helping me help coaches by being a really good example. So like I said, I could draw so where the guy's guarding the ball, the checkpoint below him or under him, or however you want to phrase that, the next one down from him is the free throw line extended checkpoint where I've got the star on the sideline. So if you're watching a film session with your guy and his feet were a little too close, he was a little bit more squared up, I would say, open to the checkpoint a little bit. If he was too open, I would say your gate's too open and you're just exposing us for a straight line drive. But this is that Goldilocks angle, like just right stance angle of if I drew that green line through your feet and it kept it going to infinity, it would cross the sideline pretty much at that checkpoint. So that's a good visual of that. So you can see where I've got the star, the line going through the guy's feet. And right where it hits it is the free throw line extended checkpoint.
Super easy to do now on programs like Huddle, even because you can draw straight on the screen and do exactly what you've done here in the clip.
Yeah, and so again, let's as we progress. You ready to progress to
whenever you're ready?
I'm ready. So like I said, we're going to build the defense from the ball out. So we talked about on the ball. So now let's move to point number 2, and that would be, what are we teaching players who are one pass away? So highlighted in the purple circle, everything we just talked about. I've got X1 guarding the ball. Angle is such that it would hit that sideline checkpoint at free throw line extended. Now let's add a guide to the ball handlers right and left and talk about what are we in pressure man, what are we teaching there? We're using denial to stop ball movement. That's simple. So we're teaching on the line, up the line. I'll just run through some of our one pass away sort of stance cues, if you will. We're on the line, up the line. I like roughly about a third up the line, not we're closer to our man than the ball. Again, we're not getting out a ruler or measuring tape and like measuring that, but just as a rough gauge, about a third of the way, up the line. On the line, we say a hand and a foot in the passing lane. So not so high that my whole body and chest is in the passing lane, but just a hand and the foot is in the passing lane. Chin on shoulder. So we'll show a screenshot here in a moment. The guy who's denying has got chin on shoulder where he can see, we call it having split vision. He can see ball in one eye, man out of the other. Chin on shoulder, palm away, thumb down, feet in line with the rim. So if I drew a line through your feet, it would go to the rim. So I kind of would maybe want X4. He's off just a little bit where I've got it drawn there. X2 is perfect. So chin on shoulder, palm away, thumb down, hand and foot in the passing lane. Those are our deny cues. And simply put, those are all internal cues of how to position your body. Those are weaker than the external cue of don't let your man catch the ball.
Right.
Don't let your man catch the ball. Like, okay, that's the main objective. So the external cue of don't let your man catch the ball is more important than where your thumb is and chin is and that and whatnot. Right. But here's an example of another aggressive man-to-man team, Arkansas Razorbacks from a few years ago. Nolan Richardson, Mike Anderson is now at St. John's. He was coaching Arkansas when this screenshot was grabbed. An aggressive man-to-man style defense. You see the guy on the ball, open, but not so open, right? Pointed to the sideline, checkpoint about where the official's standing up there on the far sideline. You see the player guarding the player one pass away, chin on shoulder, hand and a foot in the passing lane. Maybe you could get a little bit higher, just a half step higher. I also, we call it an energy check. I don't like how his arm is down. I like his arm to be more up, higher. We say they can throw over us or under us, but never through us. So that's kind of like the external cue for it. We want to get in a stance that would say they could throw over us or under us, but never through us. So we're getting a hand and foot in the passing lane. Yeah. So there's a pretty good screenshot of a denial combined with the guy guarding the ball in that kind of Goldilocks territory of open but not so open. Yeah, that's deny. There, yeah. So I picked this one because it's sort of showing like wing back to point, where we want to keep the ball off the swing spot, keep it from reversing side, top side. I also picked this because this is a really good example of some of the stance cues. You can clearly see palm away, thumb down, chin on shoulder, hand and a foot up. He's got that energy check of his pinky is higher than his shoulder instead of his arm kind of hanging down. This guy, you can tell, is on his toes. He's given effort in the passing lane to keep this player from catching the ball. Another teaching point one pass away would be we want them to catch the ball going away from the basket, not still, no standstill. We don't want number two there to just be able to pass it to him. I want that guy to have to cut, move to get open. And when he does catch it, he's catching it moving away from the basket, ideally with his back to the rim. Like he had to cut out and catch it going away from the basket. And now he's got to make a negative pivot to get back. And we're right into it.
That's good. And then the next logical step, building from the ball out, would be help.
Yeah, you don't have any questions about deny? I did such a fabulous
job. No, you did a really good job. Very thorough with that.
Good. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, again, from the ball out. So we've talked about if we've got a guy guarding the ball, then a guy. So, a second player, maybe a third who are one pass away to either side. Now let's put some players 2 or more passes away. And this is where we would refer to what we call our line rules. So you see those black lines drawn through the court. We're using the lane line, the mid line, and the free throw line in these 2 frames. And we're really going to be talking about in frame 1, the player guarding the player in the left corner on the screen. He or she is 2 or more passes away. Our rule, simple line rule. We're using the lines on the court to help as teaching tools. The ball is above the free throw line and you're 2 or more passes away. Our rule is you're on the lane line. You could say you're straddling it, you're 1 foot in the paint, 1 foot out. But so we've got sort of like 2 dimensions of reference here of the ball is above the free throw line and you're below it. And you're 2 or more passes away, you're on lane line. So yeah, we would work various sorts of 4-on-4 and things on like that. Could be 3-on-3 like you see this, or 3-on-3 like you see in frame 2 from top side, but work various little games and scrimmages and shells and things like that to work on adherence to those line rules. Like the ball is here, you're here. I know I've talked to lots of coaches who don't use that above the free throw line reference point. They would just want X3 there to go ahead and be both all the way to the midline. I think you're too susceptible to the skip that way. So we were just on the lane line. Another thing that may be a little bit different than some other mans versus pressure man is I like the stance a little bit closed, like I have it drawn there. We call it like a fighter stance or a boxer stance, like a fighter would fight with like one foot kind of up in front of the other, instead of like pistols, if you will, like you see in basketball camp. The guy's fully open with his butt to the baseline, and he's deeper and creating a little bit of a more exaggerated triangle shape between ball, you, and man. This is a little bit more of a flatter triangle. Just a more aggressive posture. We always say if we were to draw a line from the ball to your man, even if you're all the way in the corner, like imagine there being like a piano string or fishing line or something between ball and man, you could sort of reach out and pluck it. You're not on it, but you're not super down flat below it. The reason being, I'm giving away too much information. Sorry. But the reason being would be you're then too susceptible to ball flashing if you're that sunk, like someone flashing and get in, crossing your face.
Yeah, that's good.
And this is aggressive, right? This is pressure man to man. Like,
right.
This isn't, oh, please don't hurt us and we're gonna pack in. And this is we're throwing some punches too here, right?
Right.
Yeah. So frame 2 would be, now the ball on the left wing there is at or below the free throw line. I would want my player 2 passes away there to be onto the midline now, fully in the paint, in the hole, low eye, head under the basket, whatever teaching point you use there, because we're influencing to the baseline. If we get beat baseline, the low eye helps. So they got to cheat on over there now and be ready to attack anything that breaks past the checkpoint and threatens the block.
Have you made any adjustments, or would you make any adjustments this day and age? I know this. I mean, it's a little bit difficult to make that skip pass over the top, but I feel like sometimes my players are a little nervous. The bottom low man is afraid to come all the way over into the middle of the floor just because they feel like it's a long closeout and it could end up resulting in like them giving up a 3-point attempt.
It could. And, we hopefully have enough ball pressure to make the skip have enough air time where you can move and get there.
Sure.
But really, like with the combination of influencing baseline and sort of like knowing that if we do get beat off the bounce, it's going to probably be to the baseline. You're help. You're on the help side. Like that's your first and foremost thing. And we just got to fly out on the skip and do our best. But yeah, I mean, that's not the question I usually get asked. Most people are like, I want to get on the other side of that midline and go ahead and help right now. But like, you're susceptible to the skip. That's why when we're above the free throw line, I definitely don't want you all the way there. But now that the ball's a little bit more threat to drive baseline, go another step or two to the midline and be ready to be a primary helper on the baseline beat.
Yeah, that makes sense. You can also, I've seen you even post some stuff about like trapping outside of the box if you can get there early enough.
We call that base trap. So if you take the bait, we're influencing you baseline and we're on this stance angle on your high shoulder, no middle, and you go ahead and do what we're hoping you do. You're driving to it. We're attacking penetration and approaching it almost like a trap. Mm-hmm. We call that going green, or Coach Kloppenberg called that going green, and I call it going green. But so we go attack the penetration, and if they pick it up in that trap, we're tracing the ball and trying to punish them for attacking baseline. So here's almost like, if we could just Photoshop out the post player and the player guarding her, we've got a 4-man shell showing kind of everything we've talked about today. Checkpoint on the ball, deny on the right wing, 1 pass away, deny on the left slot, 1 pass away, the helper in a fighter stance on the lane line. So again, screenshot worthy positioning from, I think, Oklahoma Sooners women's team here from a few years ago, coached by the great Sherry Cole. If you've ever had her on your podcast, have you?
I haven't, but I was intending
shoot
to
your shot.
invite her.
Shoot your shot. She'd be a great guest. She's terrific.
Yeah. Carolyn?
Yeah. So you see all of the things we kind of summed up in the first 3 points today. On ball, stances to the checkpoint, deny, chin on shoulder, palm away, thumb down, hand and foot in the passing lane. Pretty good from those 2 players who are 1 pass away. Help on the lane line, chin on shoulder, kind of just below the line that would be between ball and man in that fighter stance with 1 foot kind of up. It's a great summation right there.
I'm going to guess that probably as people are watching this, they're thinking things like, how do you drill? Number 1 on the ball, number 2, 1 pass away, number 3 in help. I'm going to guess they're probably going to ask, what are some of the things that you can do? Variations like the trap that we just talked about. They may be asking, like, what are some of the, do you do shell? Do you do a lot of 5-on-5? And I don't want you to answer any of those right now.
Oh, okay.
Because we are going to, again, on Tuesday, August 9th, and we scheduled it for 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, 7:30 p.m. Central time.
Yep.
So that will be on the link. You'll see all the information for that, how to get to it. We'll send out a link so that you'll be able to watch that. It's something that you can submit questions to. It's, we'll have the replay available for you if you sign up for it, so you can go back and chop it up and look at some of the things. We'll have resources available for you, whether that's PDFs or pictures.
Yeah, some of those diagrams, I'm happy to
we just showed.
include.
You'll have access to all of that if you're a part of that. And that at the end, we'll have that Q&A, and Randy, you'll be able to interact with Randy and ask him some questions. So
yeah, looking
I'm
forward
sure
to it.
even in the last 25 minutes, there's some things that I thought about, and some of those questions that I had are the ones that I just asked, and I'm sure there's others that people have as well. So we'll save those for that event. The link is already there. Be sure to check the description below. I'll put it in the tweet thread below this as well on Randy's page, as well as on the live video and the podcast version if you're listening to that. If you are listening to it, we showed some things, as you can probably gather by this point. So be sure to go to the Radius Athletics YouTube page, and you'll be able to see the full replay of that and the pictures and diagrams. Right now, Randy won't send out any of that to anybody, but if you're a part of that master class on in August, we'll be sure to send out the rest of that. So
yeah, I would say too, what I plan to do, I've already sort of started outlining for the night that we're going to host August 9th, is I'm going to sort of like start out wide, like why run it? What are we really big trying to accomplish? And then then as the night progresses, go deeper into the technical aspects. So we didn't talk about anything like why to run it and what we're really hoping to accomplish from a big. Today we just went straight to some detail, but I want to make sure like that stuff is really vital to get into your head too, as a coach who's considering playing a pressure style man-to-man.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff still to come. Again, that's Tuesday, August 9th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, 7:30 p.m. Central time. Pressure man-to-man defense masterclass. Be sure to sign up for that. Already had some people sign up for it, so
sweet.
Spots are going quick.
Good.
Thanks to all of you who joined us this week. If you missed any part of the live show, you can go back and watch or listen. Visit Radius Athletics on YouTube to see the full interview, or you can go to any podcast platform and search either Hoops Forum or A Quick Timeout, and you'll find the audio version of the show. For Randy Sherman, I'm Tony Miller. We'll talk to you again next time on Hoops Forum.